it's like every single software needs to put AI into the software, right? So we went from zero to $200,000 in collected revenue in 48 hours, and we were kind of off to the races at that point.
So welcome to the Digital Empowerment Podcast. Today, I'm super excited to be talking to Mikael. So Mikael, do us all a big favor, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your company.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. So my name is Mikael Dia. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Funalytics. And in short, Funalytics is a platform that allows marketers to visualize their customer journeys and overlay data and see exactly how are people going through all of those marketing funnels that they've built. What are the different pages, different touch points that drive real conversions? And you can visually see this on a canvas, on a digital whiteboard, which is really, really cool. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time now, well over a decade. I've built multiple businesses. Like I've gotten 2 businesses to the 7-figure mark. Funnelytics has reached the kind of 8-figure in total mark. So been able to kind of scale businesses and really just master this game of digital marketing and customer acquisition.
Yes, no, brilliant. Thank you. And a great intro. So we've got loads of questions for you today. We know you're going to help us out a lot. Do you still see that a lot of digital marketing managers are running campaigns and running their business without data analytics? I get a wee bit nervous when I think about it myself, but do you still see it a big problem today?
Yeah, I mean, data's abundant, right? But insights is where it becomes challenging. Is how do I take this data and actually get insights and make decisions from that? And the challenge that we face as marketers is that we're not analysts. We're not. We don't love building spreadsheets and charts and graphs and try to read those, like an accountant, for example, right? So we map our strategy in one way, we visualize it, we diagram it, but then we're stuck kind of looking at these charts and graphs and spreadsheets. So it becomes hard. It's like, well, all right, well, Google tells me this, or Facebook tells me my cost per click was this. And so that's what I'm going to report back on, right? You need to find a way to take all of that data and use it to make some actual decisions and gather the right insights. And that's just where we lack tools and capabilities and experience even to make that happen.
Interesting. And you obviously decided to focus on visualizing it as opposed to just giving raw numbers.
Yeah, well, when you see a picture, it tells a story, right? It's very easy to see something and say, oh, look at that. I see people going from this page to this page, but then nobody's moving from that page to my checkout. So if I can visualize that, if I can see that, as opposed to having a spreadsheet or a graph that kind of just shows me like numbers and lines, now all of a sudden I see my page, I see an arrow, I see another page, and I'm like, oh, I see that nobody's going from here to here, right? That is clear. I can send that to my boss. I can send that to my client. Everybody's on the same page. Everybody understands it. So we wanted to figure out how can we visualize data in a way that everybody can understand.
Obviously, you've had a good entrepreneurial run and started multiple companies, incredible experience. When you started Funalytics, what was some of the biggest challenges you faced and how did you overcome them?
Oh, that's a good question. We faced a lot of challenges at Funalytics. We've had to figure out how to make a whiteboard with data. That was a big challenge to begin with from an engineering standpoint. There's a reason why data is in rows and columns and spreadsheets. When you try to put it on a whiteboard, it causes a lot of problems. So that was a huge challenge that we've been able to overcome. Understanding who are the real customers for this, because ultimately I built this tool for myself in the early days. It was really something I wanted. So just trying to figure out like who is this for and what do they really need, and making sure that we build the tool for them. Building a team, growing, there's always challenges across all of those aspects for sure, but those are two big ones that we had to overcome in the early days for sure.
Wow, amazing. How did you acquire your first customers then for the software?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, we did something very, very different and unique. Actually, I don't know if you could see on here. This is a little book that I wrote in our first year of Funalytics. I call it the Funalytics Chronicles. And I keep telling my audience and Funalytics users that I promise the next years are going to come and all that stuff, but this is what we happen in year one. And the way I grew Funalytics was very kind of unconventional. We bootstrapped it. I used about $10,000 in marketing spend on Facebook ads. And Funalytics has fundamentally kind of two core components. It's a whiteboard, so I can visually map my strategy. And then second component is I can overlay the data. But the mapping aspect of things is very simple, intuitive. It's like Miro or Lucidchart, but it's with little marketing icons and stuff like that. So it's very simple and fast. So what we decided to do is offer that mapping tool for free and just basically allow people to sign up to the mapping tool, and hopefully a portion of them would want the analytics aspect and be able to overlay data on top, right? That was kind of the thought process. So I advertised the mapping tool. We got people signing up to the mapping tool. And in order for me to nurture them and educate them and kind of, our analytics wasn't at all ready. So basically I put them all into a Facebook group, and I would start giving them a bunch of value and sharing, videos and insights on how I grew my agency and stuff like this, and sneak peeks and kind of into the vision of what Funalytics was and where we were going with it and the analytics, and started building up a wait list for our analytics, product. And at the beginning, it didn't work very well. So instead of selling it as kind of a monthly SaaS, we decided let's go and sell this as a lifetime deal. And let's basically buy the lifetime value up front, because if I was going to charge, let's say $99 a month, nobody's sticking more than 2 months because it doesn't really work. So let's charge them $700 and start bootstrapping. And that's what we did. And it worked really, really well. The first time we launched the lifetime offer, I thought I was going to get, I don't know, maybe 100 people in the space of like a month. That was kind of my ambitious target. But because I had built up this Facebook group, I had built up so much goodwill and value in this Facebook group, plus I gave them access to this free tool that a lot of people were using to show their clients and all this stuff. We ended up with 300 people buying in the first 48 hours. So we went from $0 to $200,000 in collected revenue in 48 hours. And we were kind of off to the races at that point.
Incredible. Wow. That sounds amazing. There must be loads of pros and cons to doing lifetime deals. Okay.
They're still around, man. They're still sending us support tickets.
Oh, no.
They haven't paid anything in years, and they're still very much a little bit of a thorn on my side. It's a love-hate relationship because they allowed us to get Funnelytics going and start, and I appreciate every single one of them. But then on the flip side, it's still costing me a lot of money to service them, much more than they paid me. So, there's pros and cons.
Wow. So would you recommend lifetime deals to other software companies that are starting today?
Actually, I would do it slightly different. I would do heavily discounted yearly deals, and basically allow you to generate revenue up front. Obviously, a lifetime deal is very appealing. From a marketing standpoint, it's very easy to sell a lifetime deal, right? It's a no-brainer. Somebody who's not necessarily going to use this thing, they'll still fork up $500, $700 because, maybe one day, right? I don't want to miss out on this opportunity of a lifetime deal. So it's much easier to make money from a lifetime deal. However, again, the challenge that comes with it is, what are the limitations of that lifetime deal? And, where do you kind of draw the line in a sense? A yearly deal basically is the best of both worlds. You can collect the money up front. You can heavily discount it. It won't convert as well because it's still a subscription and people don't like subscriptions. But if you discount it heavily enough, people will still act on it. And it allows you to get that recurring revenue next year, right? So if people churn, then at least you don't have to service them anymore next year versus a lifetime deal. We've had people from 2018 who used Funalytics in 2018, haven't used it in years, and then come back in and complain that something's changed, and it's 2024. And it's like, man, like, come on, give me a break.
Yes, I'm probably one of those customers. I love the odd lifetime deal, but also love a lot of software on the annual discounts, which again, as a consumer, we appreciate it. So, it's interesting to hear for sure. I'd be super interested to know then, how are you getting customers today? Obviously, your strategy's changed, you've matured, the market's different. How do you find customers today?
Yeah, through various channels. A lot of organic traffic. People just know Funalytics, talk about Funalytics. Affiliates and partners are a big channel for us. Basically, people who just promote Funalytics as a platform. So that's a big channel for us. And we also we do a lot when it comes to we test paid ads quite a bit and use paid advertising, social, by posting a lot of content and stuff like that. So few different channels.
And what's the vision for the future? Have you got a big roadmap and loads of things to do?
Yeah, as a platform, I always want to keep iterating and keep improving and take Funalytics to the next level. However, it's very easy to add more stuff. It's very, very hard to streamline the experience to make sure that people use the things that you've built and get enough value out of them, right? Like, I'll give you a very simple example now that's very relevant today. May not be relevant in a few years, we'll see. But right now, it's like every single software needs to put AI into the software, right? It's like everybody is like, no, I've got this new AI feature. And it's like, yeah, but how many people actually use your AI feature, right? I've signed up to so many tools where they have AI, but like, I don't use it and it's not really that good. So, okay, right? And I think that's the same thing with any feature in any product. So for us, our roadmap is big. We have a pretty big vision of what we want Funalytics to be able to do as a whole. However, we also understand that there's a time to slow down and there's a time to speed up development, not just keep pushing more and more and more features. Because a lot of times what you forget is more features also creates overwhelm, right? It gets past that point of it being useful and it gets to a point where it's like, man, what am I supposed to do with all of this?
And I can think of, there's many SEO softwares that we would use, and gosh, I go in and I don't know if they're a social media marketing tool or an SEO tool or a
exactly. That's just the reality, right?
It's got a wee bit crazy. Yeah, we talk about, so keeping that simple is there's definitely a good selling point to that. What would you say is the most loved feature then of the software?
I mean, easily our mapping aspect is the fact that, Funalytics is drag and drop. It depends on the user that you would ask, but that fundamental aspect of dragging and dropping. And then the second most loved feature is that the ability for in Funalytics that you can actually like visualize how people flow through your marketing funnels, right? That's one of the coolest things about Funalytics is you can visually see dots and people move through all of the different steps, and red, yellow, green. It's, if you've ever seen like a heat map on a page, it gets hotter and more bright red, and when somebody clicks on this, and then it's more blue when it's not. Well, we've basically got the same thing, but we call it heat flows. So it's really bright green when a lot of traffic goes through and there's a lot of dots, and then it's really slow and red when there's very little traffic going through specific paths. So people love it because it's so easy to like visualize and share and to tell that story.
Brilliant. No, sounds incredible. Brilliant. And have you invested in some evergreen marketing tactics or principles that you think are just going to keep going, or have you seen a trend in any of that?
Yeah. So in the early days of Funalytics, I was much more focused on, let's call it paid advertising, self-liquidating funnels, basically put in $1, break even, acquire a customer, and do it as quickly as possible. It allowed us to grow. It allowed us to kind of take things, to the next level. But over the last kind of couple of years, I've really started realizing that honestly, the best way to grow a software company is content. It's to build your brand, to really kind of create content around your brand, around your you as the founder, if you can, and if you're willing, but more so just allow people to find you as opposed to you going and seeking them out. So SEO driven content, social, and really great articles, video, especially with our tool because it's so visual, just things that can be spread out in the internet and allowed to touch multiple people. So that's why I do a lot of podcasts. That's why I do my own podcast. Like these things really kind of just, it's not as measurable as $1 in, $3 out, but it creates a lot more evergreen organic growth.
Incredible. Very interesting. And again, as you say, it's back to software companies, but I think any brand at the moment, especially with the volume of AI content, people want to connect with real people and understand a little bit about the business. So super interesting to hear that you're there as well. If there was an entrepreneur starting to build their own digital product, would you have any advice or tips or watch out for them?
Are we talking about a software product, or are we talking about any digital product?
Any digital product at all? Yeah, I suppose we could go software as well.
Okay, so let's focus on software. I mean, the biggest thing with software is everybody loves the idea of something that can scale forever and, has really nice exit multiples and, potentially all of these cool things, right? The challenge with software is obviously its development. You have to pay up front for that. People don't realize how much effort and work it takes to build a software that is valuable enough that people want to pay on a recurring basis for. Churn is my biggest enemy. It's actually the biggest enemy of any software company. When people don't stick, it really is hard to scale and grow because most softwares are relatively low price point, right? So that means that, okay, somebody comes in at $29 a month or $49 a month, but if they only stick for 3 months, well, you only made 150. That doesn't help, right? If they stick for 6, you still only made like $300. Acquiring customers is really, really challenging in that way if they don't stick for a really long time. So those are the two biggest things with software. Is number one, understand that you've got to build up front. Unlike digital courses or coaching or something along those lines, I can sell a digital course right now and then build it after I've sold it, right? I can basically go on a webinar and tell somebody, hey, I'm putting on this new course. It's this, and it's going to be delivered live to you over the next 6 weeks. And I only deliver it live if somebody pays, right? Versus software, I can't be like, hey, pay me $49 a month. The software will be ready in 6 months from now, but you keep paying me, right? It's not going to work. So I have to take all these upfront costs and develop it. I have no clue if it's going to work or not. And then I've got to play the game of how do I make sure they stick? How do I make sure they stick? How do I make sure they stick? Because every dollar I put in on marketing to get a new customer, it's going to take some time to recoup that. And if they don't stick long enough, then the value isn't worth it. And so software can be really challenged. Every business is challenging. There's no doubt. Every business has their different nuances, but those are the ones specifically from a software standpoint.
Oh, excellent. And there's been obviously a lot of talk, and I'm sure you've heard lots on Google Analytics 4, and its rollout to marketers to help us with our analytics. How do you see Google Analytics 4, but also just the general competitive landscape for analytics tools? Again, just thinking of from a marketeer's perspective, it's not something that we've a lot of choice on. Even when you look at Analytics 4, I think people have leaned to that, or Google Analytics, Universal Analytics before. We're getting a raw deal maybe with Google Analytics 4 at the moment. So I'd be very keen to hear what your thoughts are on the whole analytics landscape is.
Yeah, it's a good question. And, GA, when we started Funalytics, we knew right away from the day one that the only way this works and the only way real analytics should work is it should be at the user level, meaning I should be tracking an individual person and understanding what that individual person is doing, and then aggregating that data in order to kind of get insights and all that stuff, right? So that's why Funalytics never was able to connect to Google Analytics Universal. Now, GA also caught on to this, not because of us, we're irrelevant to them, but they realized that yes, we need to have user level tracking and user level analytics in order for people to make better insights and better decisions, hence GA4. Except GA4 is a little bit of a disaster. It's impossible to use. It's really challenging to get insights out of. It gives you all sorts of stuff, but you basically need to hire somebody in-house to do it for you, right? So it's tough. And again, tools like Funalytics, that's why we exist, is how do we make analytics simple and visual and easy to get those insights from. When it comes to analytics as a whole, it's one of those kind of necessary evils, right? Nobody likes to look at data. However, you need to look at data if you want to make any sort of decisions from a marketing standpoint. So yeah, I mean, Funalytics and Google Analytics, even though we compete, we don't really, because we do different things and we help people with different things.
Right. Well, we did a guide yesterday to a webinar actually for businesses to learn how to use Google Analytics 4. We had 80 people register, 40 turn up. And again, it ran on. But as you say, yeah, marketers are still struggling today with Google Analytics. There's no doubt. It's definitely not easy. You'd think it would be, but it's not. I'm thinking of businesses who are looking to improve their digital marketing and their analytics and analytic skills in-house. Have you any strategies or resources that you could recommend?
Absolutely. I mean, in terms of lifting up your analytics or marketing skills as a whole, there's plenty of really good platforms out there. AdSkills is one of them that has a really good training. There's a CXL Institute as well. They have a lot of good training and courses around that stuff. So those, I have no affiliation there. I'm just places where I've learned, and digitalmarketer.com is also a great one. And we have a ton as well at Funalytics in terms of a little bit more on the customer journey side of things. How do you plan, measure, and optimize customer journeys in these marketing funnels? So we teach a lot of around there. Fundamentally, though, I think everybody needs to understand the core basis of how do you actually get a stranger to become a customer, right? And in order for that to happen, you need to know where the stranger is that can become a customer, and you need to know how to architect or orchestrate the right customer journey that is going to make them become a customer. Fundamentally, everything else is just tactics, whether you use a webinar funnel or whether you have books, or whether you use content or use SEO or use social. Like, these are just individual tactics within this bigger scope of how do I architect the right sequence and the right journey to get somebody to become a customer.
Incredible. Amazing. No, again, thank you for sharing that. I've got some new places to go and check out now for upskilling ourselves and the team. So if someone wants to reach out, find out more about Funalytics and even connect with yourself, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so Funnelytics, just head over to funalytics.io and you can sign up there and play around and use our tool. We've got a really cool free interactive demo where you get to actually use the platform without even paying or anything like that. And then if you want to connect with me personally, go to LinkedIn. That's where I kind of, post my stuff. So just search for Mikael D on LinkedIn. I'm the guy with the Funnelytics hat in the picture, so it shouldn't be too hard to find.
Nice. Again, no, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. What a great offer as well. People can go and test out and see visually how their analytics looks and maybe get some ideas. So again, thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. No, thank you again. That was amazing. Wow, loads of good nuggets of gold there. So really appreciate you sharing that with us. So thank you.